She stood behind the counter at Bella's diner, her apron stained from a long day of spills and rushed orders, wiping down the same spot for the third time as the clock ticked toward closing. It was one of those quiet Tuesdays in downtown Atlanta, Georgia, when the lunch rush had faded into a handful of stragglers nursing coffee. Sarah Jenkins, 28, had been slinging plates here for 6 years, long enough to know every regular by their order. Black coffee for the trucker in booth 5, extra syrup for the kid from accounting. But tonight, the door swung open with a chime that pulled her gaze up, and in walked a black couple, mid-40s, dressed sharp in tailored coats that screamed out-of-towner money. They scanned the room, chose a corner booth, and when Sarah approached with menus, the woman asked for a table away from the draft. Sarah felt her jaw tighten. Another picky one on a slow night. And before she could stop herself, she rolled her eyes, loud enough that the man caught it. "Booth's fine," he said evenly, but the damage was done. Hours later, as Sarah clocked out, her boss burst from the office, phone in hand, face flushed. "Sarah, get in here. Those folks from booth 12, they're the new owners. Bella's is theirs now." If you're tuning in from the bustling streets of New York or the rainy afternoons of London, picture yourself grabbing a bite at your local spot. Ever wonder what happens when one bad glance flips a whole world upside down? Stick around. This one's got layers that'll make you rethink every eye roll you've ever let slip. Sarah had started at Bella's fresh out of community college, back when the place was just a greasy spoon off Peachtree Street, named after old Mrs. Bella, who ran it with an iron fist and free pie for cops. 6 years in, and Sarah knew the rhythm like her own heartbeat. Open at 6 a.m. for the construction crews, peak at noon with office types barking for quick salads, then the drag of evenings where tips dried up faster than the griddle. She wasn't in it for the glamour. Rent in Atlanta wasn't cheap, and with her mom sick back in Macon, every dollar counted. Her shifts were her armor, her snark the shield against the monotony. Coworkers called her Sass. Half joking, because she'd mutter under her breath at the complainers, the ones who sent back fries for being too crisp, or demanded refills every 5 minutes. It kept her sane, or so she told herself. That Tuesday started ordinary enough. Sarah clocked in at 11 a.m., ponytail swinging as she tied her apron, nodding to Mike the cook, who was already yelling about a backed-up fryer. "Girl, if one more person orders that kale wrap, I'm quitting." He grumbled, flipping burgers with a spatula that had seen better days. Sarah laughed it off, grabbing a pot of coffee for the early birds. By 1 p.m., the diner's 10 booths were half full, a family of 4 arguing over crayons, 2 salesmen haggling deals over meatloaf specials, and Mrs. Hargrove in her usual spot, knitting and eavesdropping like it was her job. Tips were decent, $5 here, 3 there, and Sarah pocketed them with a wink, her mood lifting as the afternoon wore on. Around 4 p.m., the crowd thinned, leaving that eerie quiet where the hum of the fridge feels too loud. Sarah texted her roommate, Jess, about splitting pizza later, then busied herself restocking napkins. That's when the door chimed, and they walked in, the couple. The man was tall, broad-shouldered with a salt and pepper beard trimmed neat, carrying a leather briefcase that looked heavier than it should. His wife, Sarah assumed from the way he rested a hand on her lower back, was elegant, hair in loose waves, wearing heels that clicked against the linoleum like they owned the place. They weren't loud, didn't demand attention, just slid into booth 12 by the window overlooking the parking lot. Sarah watched from the counter, sizing them up. Not locals, too polished for the diner's usual denim crowd. Tourists, investors, whatever, she thought, grabbing 2 menus and a water pitcher. Approaching the booth, she plastered on her server's smile, the one that didn't reach her eyes. "Afternoon, folks. Water to start." The woman looked up, her smile warm but tired, like she'd been in meetings all day. "Yes, thank you. And could we move to a booth without the draft? It's coming right through here." Sarah glanced at the empty spot, booth 10, prime real estate on a slow night, and felt that familiar pinch. Why couldn't they just sit? The diner's AC was finicky, sure, but everyone else dealt. "All booths are taken right now," she said, voice clipped, even though booth 10's couple had just paid and left 2 minutes prior. It was a lie, small and petty, born from 1,000 tiny frustrations stacked up. As she turned to fetch waters, she rolled her eyes, hard, exaggerated, the kind that said, "Here we go with the specials." She didn't think they'd see, but the man did. His eyes narrowed just a fraction, and he leaned forward. "Excuse me," he said, voice low but steady, like gravel under tires. Sarah froze, pitcher mid. "Poor." "Yeah, you rolled your eyes at my wife." It wasn't a question. Sarah's cheeks burned. She hadn't meant for it to land like that. "I sorry, it's just been a long day. Booths are first. Come, you know." The woman placed a hand on her husband's arm, murmuring something soft, but he wasn't done. "A long day gives you the right to disrespect folks. We're here to eat, same as anyone. Try that attitude on someone who deserves it." Sarah swallowed, forcing a laugh that came out brittle. "Look, I'll check on that booth. No biggie." She spun away, heart pounding, and waved over Tina, the other waitress, to cover the table. Tina shot her a look. "What you do now?" But Sarah shrugged it off, busying herself at the coffee station. Entitled, "That's what they are," she thought, replaying the exchange. Coming in here like they run the place, asking for special treatment. Tina served them iced teas and specials. Chicken fried steak for him, Cobb salad for her, and reported back that they were polite enough, tipping 20% on a $1.35 tab. Sarah avoided their booth, letting the awkwardness simmer as she cleared other tables. By 7 p.m., the diner was winding down. Mike flipped the closed sign at 8, but Sarah stayed to help close, wiping counters and tallying tips. Hers were light tonight, $1.42 total, barely covering gas. She complained to Mike in the kitchen, voice echoing off the stainless steel. "That couple in 12, total pains, rolled my eyes and everything. Guy calls me out like I'm the criminal." Mike chuckled, scrubbing pots. "Sass strikes again. You gotta watch that fire, girl. One day it'll burn you." Sarah waved him off, grabbing her jacket from the hook. Whatever, night's over. But it wasn't. As she punched out on the ancient time clock, the office door banged open. Mr. Harlan, the owner 60, something paunchy with a mustache that drooped like his spirits, stormed out, phone clamped to his ear. "Yes, sir, absolutely, Sarah. Get in here now." His face was redder than the marinara stain on his shirt, eyes darting like he'd seen a ghost. Sarah's stomach dropped. Had she spilled something? Burned an order? She followed him into the cramped office, where papers piled high on a desk scarred from decades of deals. Harlan hung up, collapsing into his swivel chair with a groan. "Sit, we got trouble." "Trouble, what'd I do?" Sarah perched on the edge of a folding chair, mind racing through the shift. Overcharged someone, forgot an allergy flag. Harlan steepled his fingers, exhaling slow. "That black couple in booth 12, the Thompsons, Marcus and Alina, they're not just customers, they're the new owners. Closing happened this afternoon. Papers signed an hour ago. I was gonna announce it tomorrow, ease everyone in. But Alina called me right after you served them. Said your attitude was unprofessional, said it felt personal." Sarah's mouth went dry, the room tilting. Owners, the word echoed absurd. Bella's had been Harlan's for 25 years. Faded photos on the walls proved it. Him shaking hands with mayors, ribbon. Cuttings from expansions that never came. How could a couple she just dismissed buy the whole damn place? Wait, what? They bought it. Like outright, Harlan nodded, rubbing his temples. "Cash offer I couldn't refuse. Chain of steakhouses up north. They're expanding south. Marcus is CEO, Alina handles ops, and Sarah. They're good people, community ties, donations to local schools, but that eye roll. Alina said it stung like old wounds reopened. She's filing a quiet complaint with HR, new HR, their team, could be awry. Tup or worse." The conversation heated up fast, Sarah's defenses cracking like thin ice. "A complaint? For an eye roll? Come on, Harlan, it was nothing." They waltz in, demand a better seat on a packed Naito, not packed, but still, and act like the world's owing them. "I was tired, sure, but it's not racism or whatever they're spinning. I'm from here, I serve everyone." Harlan's eyes hardened, the mustache twitching. "Not racism, Sarah. You rolled your eyes at a black woman asking for basic courtesy. In this city, with its history, that's not nothing. Marcus mentioned it felt like the stares they get at fancier spots. Places they own, mind you. They're not spinning, they're stating facts, and now, as owners, they could fire you on day one. Sarah leaned forward, voice rising, the office air thick with the scent of old coffee and regret. Fire me over this. Harlan, you've known me 6 years. I hustle doubles, cover for lazy shifts even when Jess no. Shows, that couple, they tipped fine, ate quick, left no mess. Why make it a federal case? Elena probably overreacted. Maybe she's had a bad day too. Harlan slammed a palm on the desk, papers rustling. Overreacted? Girl, listen to yourself. You're minimizing what they felt, dismissing it like their experience doesn't count. I taught you better. Bella's was about family, fair shakes. If they want you gone, you're gone, but fight it, and it looks worse. Apologize tomorrow, mean it. Beg if you have to. The argument spiraled, words flying like sparks from a shorted wire. Sarah shot back, apologized to them. For what? Being human. Atlanta's full of attitudes. Servers deal with it daily. White guy last week yelled at me for cold soup. No one's calling owners on him? Harlan's voice boomed, veins bulging at his neck. Because that white guy isn't buying the diner. Power flips the script, Sarah. They hold the keys now, you don't. And deep down, you know that eye roll wasn't just tiredness. It was judgment. On their clothes, their ask, their skin maybe. I've seen it here, subtle poison. Costs us good staff, good business. Sarah recoiled, tears pricking hot. Judgment, that's low, Harlan. I'm not like that. Mom raised me better. Dad walked out, but we stuck together. I work this job to help her chemo bills, not to hate on folks. Harlan softened a notch, but his tone stayed firm. Then prove it. Show up at 10 a.m., sharp. Thompsons arrive for walkthrough. Face them head, on or don't, and pack your locker. She left the office in a daze, the diner's neon sign buzzing overhead as she stepped into the humid Atlanta night. Her beat-up Honda waited in the lot, engine coughing to life like it sensed her turmoil. Driving home through midtown traffic, red lights blurring, Sarah replayed the shift in her head. The chime of the door, the click of heels, that fatal glance upward. Why'd I do it? Not the eye roll itself, but the why underneath. Truth was, the Thompsons unsettled her, not their race. She insisted to the empty car, but their polish. Like they didn't belong in a place of chipped Formica and bottomless Joe. She'd served plenty of black customers, the church group Sundays, the barbershop crew after hours. But these two, they carried an air of assent, the kind Sarah envied and resented in equal measure. Her own life stalled, college dropout, single, scraping by while they glided in, reshaping her world with a signature. By the time she pulled into her apartment complex off Ponce de Leon, Jess was on the couch, Netflix glowing. Rough night, you look like you saw a ghost. Sarah collapsed beside her, spilling the story in a rush. The couple, the eye roll, Harlan's bomb. Jess, ever the blunt one, whistled low. Owners, damn, Sarah, that's some cosmic joke. You gotta apologize. Suck it up. Can't lose this gig. Mom's bills don't pay themselves. Sarah nodded, but inside, defiance simmered. Apologize for existing. She tossed fitfully that night, dreams tangled with diner booths morphing into courtrooms, Harlan testifying against her. Morning came too soon, sun slicing through cheap blinds. Sarah dragged herself up at 8, showering off the sweat of unease, choosing jeans and a fresh Bella's tea-like armor. Traffic crawled toward downtown, her mind scripting the apology. Sorry for the attitude, long day, no excuse. Simple, sincere, or as sincere as she could muster. Pulling into the lot at 9:55, she spotted the Thompson's sleek black SUV already parked, polished against the diner's faded facade. Heart hammering, she pushed through the door, bell jingling like a warning. Harlan waved her over from the counter, where Marcus and Elena stood, blueprints spread out like battle plans. Elena, in a crisp blouse and slacks, glanced up first, eyes sharp, assessing. Marcus, arms crossed, nodded curtly. No smiles. Sarah, Harlan said, voice neutral, meet the new team. Walkthrough starts now. The air crackled, unspoken tension coiling tight. Sarah extended a hand to Elena first, palm clammy. Mrs. Thompson, hi, about last night. I was out of line, the eye roll, the snip, uncalled for. Long shift, bad headspace, but that's on me, won't happen again. Elena shook, grip firm, her expression unreadable. Thank you for saying that. It takes guts, but words are start, actions seal it. Marcus chimed in, voice even. We buy places like this for the heart, the people. Lose that, and it's just walls, you in or out. The question hung, a gauntlet thrown. Sarah swallowed, the heat rising again. This time not anger, but stakes. 100%. Show me what you need. What followed was a whirlwind, Marcus sketching remodels, new booths, open kitchen, farm, to table twists on classics. Elena quizzed staff on workflows, her notepad filling fast. Sarah tagged along, fetching coffee, answering questions on peak hours, her snark buried deep, but undercurrents bubbled. During a lull, as they pored over vendor lists in the office, Elena pulled Sarah aside. Last night hurt, you know. Not just the role, it's the echo. We've built empires, but one look reminds you of barriers. Ever feel that? Sarah hesitated, then nodded. Yeah. Like when I quit school. Folks assumed I couldn't hack it. Judged before I spoke. Guess I passed it on. Elena's eyes softened. We all do, sometimes. Keys catching it, fixing it. Help us make this place better, for everyone. The day stretched, conversations layering like onion skins. Mike grilled Marcus on menu changes a no-kale man. Folks want grease as sparking laughs that ease the knot in Sarah's chest. By noon, Harlan signed off his last checks, clapping Marcus on the back. She's yours now. Don't screw her up. As staff gathered for an impromptu lunch, Harlan's treat, burgers all around, the talk turned heated again, this time productively. Tina voiced fears. Remodels mean layoffs. Elena shut it down firm. Growth means jobs. We're hiring. Bilingual staff, night shifts for parents. Marcus fielded budget gripes, his CEO polish cracking to reveal grit. Started as a busboy in Chicago dives. Know the hustle. Sarah listened, chipping in on crowd flow, her input valued for once. It stung, realizing how Harlan's old regime had sidelined her voice. But the real build came afternoons as whispers spread downtown. A local blogger caught wind, diner sold to power couple, staff shakeup, and by 3 p.m., calls flooded from regulars. Mrs. Hargrove rang twice, heard new owners, they better keep the pie. Sarah fielded them, pride swelling as she touted changes, vegan options, live jazz Fridays. Yet suspense gnawed. Would the Thompsons dig deeper on her slip? During a quiet moment restocking, Marcus cornered her by the grill. Harlan mentioned your mom's sick. Tough. Elena's aunt went through chemo. We covered shifts for her crew. Sarah blinked, caught off guard. Yeah, thanks, means a lot. He nodded. Family first. That's our rule. Stick by it. You're gold here. The olive branch landed soft, but Sarah felt the weight. Redemption wasn't free. It was earned, shift by shift. As evening loomed, the diner buzzed with first under new management. Patrons, curious locals sniffing change. Sarah worked the floor, her role from last night a ghost, replaced by genuine smiles. One table, a young black family, ordered the works. She chatted easy, no shields up. Tips flowed better, energy electric. Closing neared, and Elena called a huddle. Day one down, thoughts, voices overlapped, excitement, nerves. Sarah spoke last, voice steady. Scared me straight, if I'm honest, but this feels right, welcome aboard. Marcus grinned, first real one. Crew's what matters, tomorrow we grind. She clocked out at 9, legs aching but spirit light, stepping into twilight where fireflies danced over Peachtree. Driving home, radio humming soul tunes, Sarah processed the pivot. From villain in her own story to player on a bigger board. The Thompsons hadn't just bought a diner. They'd bought a mirror, forcing reflections no one wanted. Her phone buzzed. Jess survived, text back, more than, tell you over wine. But deeper, a resolve hardened. No more petty glances, no more passing judgments. Atlanta's scars ran deep, but so did its rebounds. Weeks blurred into rhythm. Bella's reopened, remodeled. Booth's plush, walls murals of city history, menu fusing Southern soul with upscale flair. Sarah moved up, shift lead, training newbies on the Thompsons' ethos. Respect in every pore, equity in every order. Mom's checkups improved. Sarah socked away for her a nursing home fund, and the couple. They became fixtures, Marcus tinkering with recipes, Elena hosting mixers for neighborhood kids. One night, over closing beers, Elena pulled Sarah aside again. That eye roll bled into boardrooms for me once. Cost a deal. Glad it didn't cost you here. Sarah clinked bottles. Twist of fate, huh? Thanks for the shot. The twist hit full force a month in at the grand relaunch party. City council, bloggers, even a food truck podcaster crammed the lot, string lights twinkling. Harlan showed, grizzled but proud, toasting the Thompsons. Midway, Marcus took the mic. Bella's was Harlan's heart, now it's ours, but shout out to Sarah. Her grit turned a rough start to our strongest glue. Applause thundered, Sarah blushed, spotlight warm. Later, alone with Elena, she confessed the envy that fueled her snap. Saw your life, wanted it. Rolled instead of reached. Elena hugged her quick. Reach now. We need climbers like you. From that night, Bella's thrive. Reviews poured in. Lines snaked the block. Sarah dated a barista from across the street. Life unfolding layers she'd ignored. The eye roll faded to anecdote, shared in staff trainings. One look can rewrite rules. Choose yours wisely. If you're in LA chasing sunsets or Manchester dodging rain, hit up your corner cafe tomorrow. Serve with eyes wide, not rolled. You never know who's holding the deed. What's your story of a glance gone wrong? Drop it below. Let's talk turnarounds.